Hi, today we're going to be talking about the Kimber R7 Mako, or as I like to call it, the baby shark. Now, the Kimber R7 Mako is Kimber's entry into the micro 9mm pistol realm. So this pistol is striker fired, it is polymer framed, and it follows the pattern or the evolution of the micro 9mm pistol in that it is 6 inches, 4 inches, and about an inch. So to give it a little perspective, got just a hair over 6 inches here, around 4 inches, not including the optic, which we'll talk about in a minute. And then you can see the slide is less than an inch. The pistol is light, but it balances well, which is important when you're talking about pistols this small. Now, the Kimber has a couple of really cool features, and I'm going to work my way down and then come back up because there's a couple things I want to make sure I address. So you'll notice again that we have this 6 inch, less than 1 inch slide, but we have an enclosed traditional ejection port rather than what you see with a lot of the striker fired pistols with the exposed ejection port. Now, it still uses that that operating system that's been borrowed from the Browning High Power, just like everything else has been produced in the last 50, 60 years, just about. But they've done a couple of things differently with it. So at the rear of the barrel extension, right in here, there's a lug, and I'll take it apart and I'll show you. There's a lug that engages into the top of the slide where it actually locks up. And the reason they did that is because they wanted to use an ejection port so that they had more material to go down into the slide, is what I'm guessing from an engineering standpoint. So it looks a little strange, but it works really well. So I've got about 600 rounds, give or take 25 through the pistol so far. Haven't experienced a single malfunction, and that's in 2 sessions. So the very first session, put about 400 rounds through it with one of the guys here at Terran Tactical's range, and we shot the pistol till it was so hot we couldn't touch it. It got uncomfortable to touch, and not a single malfunction. So don't worry about the shrouded ejection port. It does just fine. You'll also notice that it has an internal extractor, and again, when I take this apart, I'll show you. It's a beefy affair. So I know a lot of people think going to an internal extractor is a step back. The engineers at Kimber figured that part of it out, and it does real well. For sights, we have a really nice tritium up front and a really nice deep U in the back. So a lot of people like the 3 dots. If it were my druthers, I would actually get rid of the dots in the back, keep it black in the back, and keep it bright up front. But as produced, it does real well, and they are steel sights. They are a quality affair. They're not plastic, they're not gonna fall out. Now, it is an optics ready pistol. This is the version that came OI or optics installed, and it utilizes the Crimson Trace CTS 1500, which is a 3 MOA dot, and did really well on this. So it has that RMSC footprint, which is becoming kind of ubiquitous with these smaller micro 9s, and it works real well. I gotta tell you, I like the dot, I like the clarity. It might not be up there as far as like duty ready, and that I'm not gonna be dropping this pistol. I'm not gonna be doing some of those tests that I would do on an optic that I would consider for duty carry, but for concealed carry optic, it does just fine. And the dot quality is really nice, which is good. Moving down, you can see we have an equipment rail. I haven't had a chance to play yet to see whether or not maybe the Surefire, the new Surefire micro light or the new Streamlight micro lights work well on that, but it seems deep and it's definitely reinforced in there, so it's not flimsy. I'm not worried about that frame flexing and causing reliability issues. The stippling on this is actually really nice. It's done in these real tasteful patterns right here, almost like panels, and it is a series of just different shaped raised ridges. It almost looks like a topographical map, but in use, man, it is nice and grippy. It works really well, and it doesn't tend to snag clothing either, which is really nice. And like I said, we burned it down the other day, no abrasions on the hands whatsoever. The magazine release is completely ambidextrous, meaning that you don't have to reverse it. It is ambidextrous. You can work it from both sides, which is a nice touch on a pistol in this size range and in this price range as well. Nice and high in the back strap, so you get your hand up, and you'll notice that the trigger guard is also undercut. So on a gun that's this small, where the bore rides that high over the frame, it's nice to be able to get your hand up high on the gun to counter that recoil impulse. Speaking of recoil, Kimber has stated that the lockup system and the overall shape of the gun is going to work towards reducing felt recoil. And I can tell you that while the gun is definitely you're not shooting a Magnum handgun, it's also not like shooting a 22. I mean, you're shooting a full-size 9mm cartridge through a very small gun. It definitely moves on you. So as long as your grip is good, you utilize that undercut, get your hand nice and high, you'll be fine. But if you think you're going to come into this being lazy, using a lazy grip, the gun will push you around a little bit. Next, I want to talk about the trigger. So when I initially read the specs on the trigger, I got to tell you, I wasn't super hopeful, because they give a wide range as far as what you can expect. When I initially shot the trigger, it came in at just under 6 pounds before I shot it. When I measured it, gave me an average of just below 6 pounds. But this trigger has really settled in, and this trigger is now coming in at like 4 pounds, 14 ounces. And it is short, and it has a really good little reset with no over travel and very little creep. So I initially came into it not expecting much from this trigger, but I gotta tell you, I'm a fan. They did a really nice job with this trigger. You know, it holds 10 rounds with a flush fit. You can go a little bit bigger, and you can go 12 rounds. And I can tell you, when it comes to actually shooting the pistol, that 12-round magazine is what you want in it. And you'll notice the shape. We have the nice rounded edge on the back, almost like harkening back to that old Bobcat 1911 look. And the gun's gonna carry without a problem. 12-round magazine, in my opinion, is the way to go with this gun. Shooting. The gun was real accurate. You know, when I say that, again, it's not a match pistol. Don't grab one of these guns and expect match accuracy. But at 25 yards, this gun is going to put just about everything you feed it under 4 inches. Now, some people go, oh, well, you know, my custom-tuned Kimber 1911 puts everything into 1.5 inches. Yes, I know, but it's not a striker-fired polymer gun. And let's be realistic, 4 inches at 25 yards is really good from a pistol this small. Coming back up, you'll notice that we have a very subtle slide stop right here. So this slide stop is more of a slide lock mechanism, in my opinion, than a slide stop. Now, you can certainly get thumb on it and release that slide, but under stress, when you're trying to move fast, when your hands are sweaty or, God forbid, even bloody, probably not the best way to go. Slingshotting this pistol is probably going to be the best way to go when it comes to running that. Disassembly, you'll notice it has some very familiar levers right here. I'm not gonna name names, but you can take a look at that and you can figure out where that comes from. So you'll notice that it has disassembly levers, where another very famous pistol has disassembly levers, and it kind of follows that pistol in that you need to press the trigger to release the sear or striker mechanism so that you can disassemble the pistol. And we'll do that off camera, and then we'll show you what the pistol looks like completely disassembled, all right? So what I want to do right now is I want to direct your attention to the barrel assembly. As I referenced earlier, you'll see it has a lug on the top and at the rear of the chamber area, and that lug is going to engage into this recess right here in the top of the slide. So that is where you're going to get your lockup, rather than at a bushing, or rather than having the front of the chamber area lock into the barrel hood, lock into the slide. That's where you get the lockup, and it locks up really, really tight. So that probably explains why the pistol's been so accurate. The next thing I want to direct your attention to is the extractor. So as I said, a lot of people are gonna have issues with an internal extractor. Oh God, we've evolved past that, yada, yada, yada. But I'm telling you right now, that is a beefy affair. It is held in there with roll pin, and it is, that entire unit has been extremely robust. Again, about 625 rounds, give or take, and not a single malfunction through the pistol yet. So, gonna put this back together. We're gonna shoot it. I want to see you, I want you to be able to see me running this on some steel. So thanks for joining us, and I want to give a big special thank you to my friend Taryn Butler for allowing us to use his range. As you know, right now, range time anywhere in the United States is getting tough to come by, and he's been incredibly generous with his time and his resources. So thank you, Taryn. The Kimber R7 Mako, as I said, I like to call it the baby shark. If you're in the market for a subcompact or a micro compact 9mm pistol, and you're already a fan of Kimber, or you just want a high quality pistol that's not going to let you down when you need it, take a look at the R7 Mako. I think you're going to enjoy it. Thanks for joining us for this first look at the Kimber R7 Mako. Shoot straight, stay safe, have a great day.